to to file a lawsuit, basically, and say, no, I'm suing you for infringement. If they do not file suit, then the video goes back up, or whatever material it is, if it's on a platform other than YouTube. One problem with this is that people who file takedown notices a lot of times are big media corporations, and the people who get the takedown notices filed on them tend to be individuals, and we don't have the same sort of pocketbooks and stables of attorneys, and so even if you do have a legitimate fair use defense, say, you're a lot more likely to just say, okay, and step back and let it go. But there is a case recently, have you guys heard of Lawrence Lessig? Has he popped up? He is are you a groupie too?
A little bit.
Meet me after class. I have a picture of him with me last Thursday in the U.S. Capitol. Yeah, I'm a fangirl. Anyway, basically what happened was he gave a keynote speech at Creative Commons Korea a couple years ago. And he was talking about the cultural phenomenon of call and response, where something gets put up and it draws attention, and then pretty soon you've got soldiers in Afghanistan doing their version, and you've got, a New York City version. And what he did was, it was a video with Breakfast Club, the movie The Breakfast Club, kids from Breakfast Club, dancing, but instead of the original music, it was a song, Listomania, by, I think they're French, Phoenix. And so what Lessig showed was like 30 seconds of that. And then how another 30 seconds, somebody else said, oh, that's cool, I'm gonna do one in New York City. And so now you've got people in New York City doing it. And then someone says, oh, that's really cool, I'm gonna do one in San Francisco. So it's like the same 20 to 30 seconds over and over and over. So he was showing that to educate, to demonstrate how people are reinventing things and how culture is changing. And so what happened was, a few months ago, he put it up on YouTube, this lecture. And an Australian music company, Liberation, who owns the rights, filed a takedown notice. And Lessig filed a counter notice. They indicated that they were going to file suit. So he took the video down and he filed suit first. And so he, backed by the Electronic Frontier Foundation, is suing for a declaratory judgment that his use is not infringing because it is fair use, it's educational, it is not, anybody who wants to hear that song is not gonna go watch this little bit of this 12-minute video to hear the same 20 to 30 seconds of this song over and over and over again. So yeah, he's looking for a declaratory judgment, an injunction against further proceedings from them and to allow the video to stand, and then damages, which would be the cost of what it's costing him to sue them, and any other damages that the court should find worthy. So anyway, that's actually pending in federal district court right now, so it would be a very interesting thing to watch. Yes?
What is the name of that suit for those of us who like to follow it?
I can get it for you after. Yeah, I've got it, but it's. I can even get you the complaint. If you go on the Electric Frontier Foundation's website, they have the complaint, all the allegations and everything.
Is he also asserting parody?
No, because and that's a good point. But no, I don't think that he is. Well, he's not.
That's not his.
He's
that's
not
his argument.
parodying it, though. I mean, maybe other people might. If you were to do it.
It was a change to the.
Yeah, but he didn't change it. I wonder if that would.
It's a fair use. He's just arguing this is a fair use.
It seems like fair use, but the parody would be an alternate
Right.
defense.
But he's not trying. He's in educational talk he was giving. He's not trying
Yeah, I
to
think
parody
he's- but
anything.
I don't think that was in the complaint. And also, too, it might have more to do, say, if he had done a video. Perhaps if Freedom now, Liberation Music, perhaps might go against somebody who made one of those videos. Maybe they could claim parody. That would possibly sting.
I was wondering, is there any penalty for using the DMCA, say, in a frivolous or
Yes.
bad faith manner to take
Yes.
down? Like saying, I don't like any YouTube that from this president of Canada, so I'm gonna file takedown notices
Yeah.
against every.
Yes, that is, and in fact, YouTube has a really robust copyright page, and one of the things that they have on it is this really funny little 5-minute video with these puppets that is all about fair use and DMCA, and one of the things that they talk about is, well, that video makes me look stupid, I'm gonna file a takedown notice. You can't do that. You know, you can't use it as a bullying method.
But what actual legal mechanism is there to keep it from being used?
What's what?
What actual legal mechanism is there to keep it from being used?
Statutory damages provided. So, you know, you don't like the fact that my video makes you look stupid, right? You file a takedown notice. I say, that's my video, I created that. I mean, you might have some other causes of action against me for making you look stupid, but not under the DMCA. And so I filed a counter notice, and then, you know, you would have to say that you wanted to sue me. Well, if you sued me, I'd be back at you and I'd be wanting damages.
But if I just fired these out against everybody that offended me, and then I just dropped it if they responded, that still might get rid of 2/3 of them.
It could, but it's, yeah, it's, I don't know, I have to think about that. I know that there are damage provisions in it, and you're not supposed to use it for other than copyright purposes. So, one thing, let's see. Oh, these are a couple of sources that I wanted to recommend. Because, you know, we talked a little bit about watermarking, things, you know, protecting your images on a personal level. But if you're dealing with social media at an institutional level, this first blog post is really good. It points out some good reasons to have an overall social media policy, one aspect of which would be copyright. But then there are other considerations. One tip that they give is to have one person who manages this, not to manage it by committee, not to parcel it out. You should have one person posting, one person dealing with comments. And one thing that one does is links to some good sample policies from other academic institutions. And likewise, the second one is just a huge list of whether they're official policies or their guidelines or whatever that have been put out by educational institutions, libraries, businesses, all kinds of entities. You can look at that and get some good ideas for how your organization might want to proceed. And then one more thing. So my friend Karen, I was talking to her last week. I told her, if your ears are burning on Friday, it's because I'm talking about you. And I had listened to a podcast, an interview that she did with the Washington, D.C. photography website. And so then, you know, she and I were talking, and she said that people had been encouraging her to create a place to talk about her experience and to educate and to learn about use of images on social media. So she created this page on Facebook. It's called My Photo. And right now she's doing a survey on how people use social media and images. You don't have to like the page to take the survey, but you might like the page if you go to it. And I'd like to encourage you to take the survey. So that is it. So do we have any other questions? Yes?
This is going back to Chris LeBeau's part of the presentation. On the copyright, you said that there's sound recording and there's music. How does a sound recording differ from a music recording?
Oh, boy, we were going to get to that in class?
I'm not in copyright class, so.
Oh, that's right, you're in the other class. It's very complicated because there are layers and layers, as you know, for a sound recording. Sound recording can be a speech. It can be anything.
So sound recording is broader.
Much broader than just music.
That
yeah.
satisfies.
And there's layers and layers of
And
copyrights. Yeah.
I wrote down something about photographing creativity. I guess what I'm thinking is, how do we cross that line? Because it's clearly a piece of art, but it's not painted or something like that. Would I just ignore the
So
technology?
what kind of art are you talking about?
I'm trying to remember what I put down for photography and
Oh.
creativity.
Well, usually, how do I explain this? When we're
Or-
trying to decide if something is creative or not creative, we usually think about if it's factual, and we don't really look at art as,
So
well, it
maybe
can
we
be
can look at this photo
factual.
up that's up.
But this has a lot of judgment about the way she took it, the angle she took it, the lighting, the composition. All that goes into making a work creative.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into that, but we were discussing it this morning. That the photographer has to make choices. Am I going to shoot from this angle? How much of this am I going to crop out? What am I going to focus on? Am I going to blur the background? All these different things make something creative. There's actually, not a legal case, but an incident that arose where the question of copyright ownership, a guy had left a camera out someplace like Malaysia, and a monkey picked it up and took pictures. And who would own the copyright? And there's actually guidance that from the Copyright Office that doesn't have force of law. It's not part of the statute. It's not part of the CFR, but it is an internal book that they use. And one of the things is that it has to be a human and that it has to show decisions were made.
But we had a great time discussing, does a monkey own copyright?
That's helpful. You see a difference between
Yeah.
a portrait photo, which looks like a quick little selfie type thing,
Yeah.
versus the main photo in question, which looks like, where am I standing?
Well, and also raises
Do I really want to yell at the rain?
copyright ownership and surveillance video.
Well-
Decisions are being made on surveillance.
Well, they're not being made by humans then. But yes.
How do you know whether an image has been copyrighted? So I work in an archives, we're going to have lots of materials, photographs, in different collections that won't have a name on it, that, sometimes they do have a photographer's name on it, but
It can be very, very hard if there's not identifying information. You can do a search, like say you're looking for, well, I need a picture that I can put into this presentation, and I need a picture of a classroom. And you can go on in Google Images, you can do your advanced settings, and you can say, I want to see only things that are licensed for reuse, for alteration, whatever. And you can find things, but even then, you have to feel that you can trust that whoever uploaded it and said that they had the rights to give you these rights was real. It's a scary, naughty, thorny thing.